Welcome to Gaming with Bare Hands. I'm Bare Hands, and today we're going to talk about using the Xbow. You may have seen my last Xbow video. This is a slightly, ever so slightly different deck. The difference is instead of the Tombstone, I'm running the Zap spell simply because I find it gives me a little bit more coverage against counters to the Xbow specifically. It may not be better, I don't know. But we're going to talk about principles of using the Xbow, and this might apply to Mortar. Never really played a Mortar deck, so maybe that'll be what I focus on next. But look here, we've got the Xbow and the Cannon. I could do the Tesla instead of the Cannon, but I feel like for the Elixir, the Cannon is just far more valuable at the moment. Maybe they'll buff the Tesla in the future. We've got the Princess, which is great against the spammy small units that they flood the Xbow with. Then we have both of the Spirits. We've got the Mini P.E.K.K.A, which is crucial against big counters to buildings, such as the Royal Giant, the Giant Skeleton, the Giant, and the Hog, things like that. Really, the Mini P.E.K.K.A is going to shut down pretty much anything that is in a small unit that dies to the Princess. So Valkyrie, Knight, Prince, all of that stuff is what the Mini P.E.K.K.A is for. And so let's go ahead and look at a couple of games. I want to show some highlight games against different decks, and we're going to talk about how you end up winning against decks that even are much higher level than you. Alright, in this replay, I am playing against a level 12, and when I see a level 12 player, I get disheartened, but don't be. Sometimes they are able to just walk over you, but other times you can really give them a fight, and even if you lose, you end up feeling good because, let's be honest, they're 2 levels ahead of you or 3 levels ahead of you sometimes when you're playing people like this, and just the fact that you're not getting walked over is impressive. Okay, so sometimes you do get walked over. What are you going to do against that? So he is playing a spammy hot deck, and I am going to head and get the Xbow down as soon as possible. Sometimes I don't recommend that, but I feel like in order to kind of fend off all of these small units, I needed some coverage on the board, and it didn't work out so well. He was able to counter it pretty easily, and then he's got a flood of units coming down the left side of the base, so at this point, I'm going to throw my Xbow as a defensive card, just to kind of feel out the pacing of the battle, and you will see that it pretty much shuts down everything. It's amazing to watch him just continue to flood with small units, and the Xbow in the tower coverage is able to just shut it down completely. So J-Money didn't really get a lot of the worth out there. You could see he's basically throwing a ton of elixir at my 6 casting Xbow, so I'm getting really good worth on both having an elixir pump down and being able to just sit back and let him do more trades. He's going to throw his elixir pump down. I'm going to go ahead and I kind of feel ahead at this point elixir-wise, so I'm going to get the Xbow going, then I'm going to play the cannon, and he's going to throw down a counter to it, so I like getting my Ice Spirit out as soon as possible, because the Ice Spirit can just wander up to its death if he doesn't play anything, which if he doesn't play anything, that's to his disadvantage. But the Ice Spirit will freeze whatever he plays, giving you an opportunity, 2 seconds, to figure out how to counter it. Okay? So if he plays a Giant after that, you can play the Mini P.E.K.K.A. If he plays the Minion Horde, you can play the Fire Spirits, or just let your Princess counter them. So the Ice Spirit is kind of a crucial card here. I'm going to get my Mini P.E.K.K.A. Look at that Mini P.E.K.K.A. shut down the Lumberjack. I think he zap my Xbow there, allowing it to retarget, which is pretty silly. He's able to take it out, but I am just dealing huge amounts of damage to his tower. The Princess on the left side just hasn't even been answered. And I kind of step back onto my heels here and allow him to play some stuff without putting the Xbow down. And then I go ahead and place it back down to get the counter going here. And he does a good job of rushing that left side tower, but just not quite enough. And with the Princess... Sorry, got a little disconnected there. But I was able to seal up that win by taking out the right tower, mostly because he was just rushing and wasting his elixir, okay? And so I think there are 3 phases to playing with the Xbow deck. We have got figuring out what counters they have in their deck. The second step is figuring out what counters they use when you play the Xbow, okay? So sometimes I will sit back and I won't play the Xbow for as long as possible to figure out just what cards they have in their deck. The second phase is just playing the Xbow and not getting frustrated when they counter it, because you can't read what they're going to counter your cards sometimes until you actually see how they react. So play the Xbow, figure out how they respond to the Xbow. And then the third step is figuring out how to shut down the way that they counter the Xbow. Alright, this game was pretty interesting. I have found in the past that without a lot of counters to air, a heavy air deck can really shut down something like an Xbow deck. That the cannon and the Xbow, they don't target the air at all. I don't have the poison spell, and so what do I do against Lava Hound or dragons and things like that? Well, at this point, I don't know he's an air deck, and so I'm going to sit back, I'm going to play my Elixir Pump, I'm going to let my Princess just kind of give me some coverage against those barbarians so they don't start dealing large amounts of damage. I actually waste a little elixir here. These fire spirits aren't going to do a whole lot because he's got level 11 archers, but I'm able to shut down the archers with an ice spirit and my princess. And again, I'm sitting here kind of thinking, ah, man, this is kind of a spawner. What do? I don't want to dedicate too much elixir and then get shut down, because then the spawning gets unstoppable. And he's going to throw down the Inferno Dragon, which is really cool. Really want an Inferno Dragon. So I'm just going to sit back and play defense against these air units. I'm going to zap so that my fire spirits all don't die to the musketeer, and then I'm going to tank a little bit of damage while taking out the rest of those units. And I'm noticing fairly quickly that he is unable to shut down my princess quickly. And so I'm just going to keep cycling to elixir pumps, keep getting the card out that he can't counter. It's going to build his frustration, and then I'm going to go ahead and play my Xbow and my cannon. So, like I said before, I kind of know what he has in his deck now. Aside from his minions, I didn't know he had the minions, but we're going to see what cards he has to counter. I get a little bit lucky there in snagging the minions, but when you're at this point in the game and their first counter doesn't work, they start to panic a little bit. So he's going to throw a baby dragon down, which is good. Baby dragons don't do a ton of damage, and so my princess in the tower, I'm just going to let them deal with it. And then I'm going to rush again, assuming he's going to throw his minions down. I throw the Ice Spirit. Works out pretty well because I'm going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage to the Inferno Tower, the Inferno Dragon, but he had a money zap there that shut down my Fire Spirits, and so he's going to counter that pretty well. No worries. I'm going to throw my Xbow in the middle to regroup. Okay, don't always pressure attack. Get the Xbow in the middle to regroup so he can't play units on it on the side. And then I'm going to play defensively and just kind of build up. I'm going to throw my cannon down where I would normally with the Xbow, so that if I cycle over to the Xbow like I did just then, I'll be able to place it down and have coverage. He's going to rush the right side, which again, the Baby Dragon doesn't do a ton of damage, and as long as I could like zap or Ice Spirit, I'll get my words, Ice Spirit that Inferno Dragon, it's not going to be able to take out my tower, and he doesn't have a giant to tank for it, so they die pretty quickly like that. So he's going to throw down his Musketeer and his Baby Dragon. Without playing the Xbow, I'm going to shut them down, and then after they're gone, I'm going to go ahead and play the Xbow. He's going to play his Inferno Dragon predictably. I'm going to throw my mini P.E.K.K.A down instead of my Fire Spirits so that he can't just zap them away. And then I'm going to play the Fire Spirits at a different moment. Get my cannon down to protect the Xbow. I'm really having a little bit of trouble getting through the spawning units. But even so, I'm maintaining a better elixir trade there, and I'm able to take that tower out. It was a pretty stressful game for me, but a lot of fun. Really enjoy shutting people down with the Xbow. And so I'm going to jump into a live game here. They can be tough. I have probably a 50-50 win rate with the Xbow deck, and so let's hope we're on the upside of the 50. Alright, Mr. Med. We're going to jump in against Med and see how our start is. I've got the Princess and the Elixir Pump in the queue, so I like that. I'm going to go ahead with the Princess in the back just to get an idea of what he's going to play. He's going to play the Ice Boy. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and play the Elixir Pump. He has the Giant. So with the Giant, we're going to get the cannon over here to draw the Giant into the middle. Then I'm going to get the Minipeka down. He has the minion horde, so I'm going to do Fire Spirits in the middle, and that should be able to shut that down completely. His Ice Spirit may get a hit or two off, but that is okay. My cannon didn't even die. So I'm going to get the Princess up here. I'm going to throw down my Ice Spirit just to stop a little bit of damage, and then I am able to throw my Elixir Pump down without him playing his Miner on Elixir Pumps. That's pretty nice. I like that. He's going to throw his Musketeer on the right, and I'm going to see if I can't rush this down here and catch him off guard. I'm going to anticipate Minion Horde. I'm going to go ahead and get my Mini P.E.K.K.A down. Minion Horde is still probably going to come, so I'm going to throw the Ice Spirit down. And the Princess. Get my Zap Spell ready. I still feel like the Minion Horde's coming. Alright. This is a classic example of me understanding what he's going to try and counter my cards with, and then responding well. My Fire Spirits are actually going to jump and take out his guards, and my Xbow is going to sit there and deal quite a bit of damage. I'm going to back it up and then get my Ice Spirit down to freeze whatever he does and give me some time. He's going to throw a Musketeer down. I'm going to get my Princess for the Minion Horde. Alright, maybe not. Cannon. Maybe I could shut down that Ice Wizard and start dealing damage. Minion Horde. Nope, he's going to throw the Giant down, and that's going to allow me to take out that tower. I'm going to go ahead and zap here. Notice how valuable that Princess is. I'm going to get my Mini P.E.K.K.A down. Maybe that was a little bit overkill, but at this point, as a lot of building decks thrive, once you get their tower gone, a lot of times you can sit back and just defend really, really well. We're going to throw down another Xbow. We're going to throw down an Ice Spirit and a Mini P.E.K.K.A. He's going to get a Money Poison Spell, but that's okay. Without his Giant dealing damage to the tower, I'm going to be able to take care of his smaller units pretty easily. Poor placement on the Princess there, but he's going to run out of time, and getting rid of that first tower is the key. Just to mention, you really have to play defensive with the Xbow deck, because if you don't and they get one of your towers early in the game, I find it nearly impossible to win a game after they've taken a tower, before you've taken a tower. And even after you've taken one of their towers, if they end up taking one of yours, it's essentially going to be a draw if you play very, very well at that point. Them being able to play things like Giants in the middle of your base or right on your Xbow as you're trying to attack them, it's going to shut you down completely. And so make sure you play very defensively, and then after you figured out what cards they have, take out one of their towers and don't let them take out one of yours. I know that's easier said than done, but that's kind of the thought process you have to have. This isn't a 3-crown deck. This isn't, if you've watched some other videos, you might hear people say things like, oh, it's okay, I'm going to let him take that tower out because I'm going for the 3-crown. Impossible with this. You're not going to get the 3-crown. Do not let them get your tower. It's okay to soak a little bit of damage, but do not let them take a tower. Thank you so much for stopping in. If you liked this, don't forget to like the video. Leave a comment down below. Give me some ideas for maybe future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can come back for more Gaming with Bare Hands.